Why do you think that Chiharu is an important artist?
I think Chiharu's work had been exploring universal idea or essential idea for the human being, including life and life after death and human connection and the idea of healing. All these things are so essential to human being. And time like this when world is so much apart and divided, and somehow I felt that by touring this exhibition for 6 years now,
Ah, really?
that being so popular, and like 5 years, but then it's been so popular in many places, and then this work really go beyond languages, nationality, and geography, culture. So yeah, I was really asking myself the same question that you just asked.
But don't you think it's popular because there's something spectacular about it more than the meaning?
I think partly you are right, but she had been showing in different biennales and triennales with one installation, the spectacular, and people like to take the picture with the work. But then this exhibition, people remember it so much, not only because of the spectacular installation, but also about her life. And then how this is first and so far the really only exhibition that has the context of her practice over 25 years. So it really starts from her art school time in 92, then go through the most recent at the time when we produced the show in 2019. So it gives you a context and then also shows works like her theater project. She does this stage design and also her work with the Berlin Wall and the post-Berlin Wall landscape.
But why do you speak about afterlife? Why?
Particularly, this show I offered her, let's have a show together. I went to see her in 2017. And then just following day, next day, she said, oh, I have to meet my doctor. And then she found out she had a cancer some years ago, but then cancer came back. So she learned that she again diagnosed with the cancer. So her interest in life and afterlife and death throughout her career. But then in the meantime, she lost her father, and then also she had a miscarriage, and then cancer came back to her.
Wow.
So particularly during the process of producing this exhibition for 2 years, she had to go through chemotherapy, and we were constant in dialogue and how to deal with this issue. So this became probably for her hardest show to deal with, but also at the same time was most important time for her to really think about what she had been already exploring for over the years.
But for me, it's more about trauma and suffering. No?
I think she had been rather mended or healed by making these artwork, and she needs to make this big installation and also act of painstaking labor of making work. And you can see like collecting small memories, like a little dollhouse connected with a red string. That is something she was doing all the time in her studio. So that is for her to kind of mend herself, heal herself.
What about the windows?
Windows are more like her observation from landscape in Berlin.
And when did she do this piece?
She started to collect those works in late 90s and also 2000. She started to live in Germany in 96, and a few years later she moved to Berlin. And that was a time that Berlin was kind of recovering and a lot of construction going on. So she saw abandoned window frames on the street. So she saw somehow she has this kind of insanity when she wanted to do something, and she started to collect all these abandoned window frames by her bicycle every day, carry to her studio, like 2,000 of them. Then she was imagining that she often used this dress as a second skin. So without having a human body, she has this presence of something within the empty dress. But then she said windows are more like a third skin after your body and dress, and then further to divide yourself is private space and public space.
Yes.
So she was imagining all these, the people, particularly from East Berlin, the people who couldn't really freely travel, then what were they thinking? What were they looking at through the windows?
And what is her relation to Louise Bourgeois? Because in a way, she could be the spider herself. No?
I think a lot of people said that she's like a spider artist because of this weaving the thread. And there are certain connection I feel that...
But does she speak about Louise Bourgeois?
No, not really. Because this installation of the thread for her is more like a drawing in
the
air.
space, yeah.
It's more like a three-dimensional drawings, and it's not really about being a spider. But for Louise Bourgeois, spider net is really about healing and motherness.
Yes.
And it's probably quite different.
But it could be like the next step of Louise Bourgeois in a way. And
actually, at the Mori, we are showing Louise Bourgeois at the moment.
Ah, true. That's funny.
But also, a lot of people could compare Louise Bourgeois and then also Yayoi Kusama and Chiharu.
But also the dress make me think about Anselm Kiefer.
Yeah.
And also the suitcase make me think about Christian Boltanski.
Christian Boltanski, yes.
Yes. So does she speak about Christian Boltanski?
Not particularly. She's more in favor of Anna Mendieta.
Ah, but did she make suitcases? Installation?
I don't think so.
No.
And also she
So it's really about suffering.
And she studied under Marina Abramovic.
Ah.
So the body as yourself and then expressing with the body. And I think it's, you can say it's about trauma and suffering, but it's probably more general sort of anxiety as being.
Yes. And I met her once, long time ago, and she said that the first time she had the idea of doing this kind of net, it was in a room in Berlin, so to be protected in a bed. So what do you think about that?
I really think so. She after moving from Osaka to Berlin, Germany, she changed her apartment 6 times in a very short period of time. She said, of course, I needed to find a cheaper place, but then she couldn't really find a sense of belongings. So it's really about, again, the uncertainty for herself and uncertainty for being. Where should I belong and where am I now? So she said every time in the morning she wakes up, where am I? She didn't really think that this is my place. So try to make all these places for herself. She started to do all these handwork.
But in the same time, it's a prison, no?
I think it's probably more about kind of calming down your emotion, uncertainty by moving your hands. And these art making for some of the artists, including Louise Bourgeois, is a process of, Louise Bourgeois said art is something to keep her sane.
Mm.
So to move, to draw something, to paint something, to make their hands becomes a process of really trying to find herself.
And what do you think is special about this Grand Palais exhibition?
It's first retrospective of Chiharu on European continent. So it's very important for her, but also I'm very curious to see how what I think is very universal, essential question that she's exploring will speak to French audience.
And but don't you think she's very Japanese?
Yeah, many people ask if she's very Japanese, but I don't really see her like that. And what element do you think she's very Japanese?
The use of color?
Color. I see.
Yes. No, but I ask you. Also, this kind of anxiety, no?
Anxiety, and then also.
I even link it to Hiroshima in a way, you know, to a big trauma that she inherited.
And there also sense of slight sanity, that level of sort of concentration. The Japanese is so good at going to the detail.
Yes.
But so she has that element, of course. But for instance, this last piece with the suitcases, she doesn't really talk about in a political sense. So it really reflects to who are looking at the work. And so suitcases.
So it's not political?
No. It's really about herself going to the different places in the morning. It's really about departure and journey. But of course, she found those suitcases in Berlin and flea market. So that a little suitcase piece on the floor has some of the fragments of a Berlin Wall. So it's really about the memory and what. So she's really again imagining who are those people who are carrying these suitcases and where were they going, from where to where, and why. And by having them, now we are suspending 220 suitcases. And if you see them as a mass, immediately you imagine migrants, and all these issues that are particularly in Europe. But it's very different from where you are from and where this is installed. So the works going to have a different meanings by placing in different places.
And she's conscious of that?
She is conscious, and but she doesn't define the meaning of the work. It's more level of abstraction or level of universality. But then every time the works are installed in different places, and then all the trauma of collective memory of the society or collective trauma of the society comes back, and then everything could kind of resonate.
So you think she's absolutely universal?
Now I think it's interesting to see her like that.
You are a politician or what?
No, I truly think so.
Merci. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.